Hello guys, welcome back. Speed Dahlgren here, and we're doing a tour of the shop. And basically, what I'm going to show you is where I got a lot of this stuff, how I did it, what I have, and you'll see that I've got a lot of things in here going on as we speak. Working on his Rolly P38 right now, and this one's been built on Facebook quite a bit. And doing some finishing touches on the bodywork. We'll get into that a little bit later. But what I want to go up there and I want to kind of touch base in on is all of my stuff here. Anyway, basically I get these racks. You can get these at Home Depot and anywhere. They're about 20 bucks. They're plastic, very nice to have, and I use them to store all of my adhesives, paints, wire, whatever I got that I'm working on, alcohols and all that stuff like that. I use a lot of different things. And then I have my fillers and other things like that up on top. That is just not numerous things. I am a very big believer in Z epoxy. I use it for a lot of things, including mixing this with body fillers for body filler, and we'll talk more about that. Microballoons are good, cotton flock, little things that you'll need over time. I do carry some of my sanding equipment here and spreaders. I had some massacred, but anyway, little things and sandpapers and things like that are all up there. Spare belts for the sander. We'll talk about that in a minute. My wiring, I make my own wiring harnesses, and a lot of the stuff I use, this is something that you can get at Harbor Freight. However, the easy wire that I get for the 20 gauge and all that stuff like that is all a little bit on a different note. And I use this because it's just a better deal. And that's silicone wire, and I can use it on anything. I have a lot of arrays of things like miter boxes. Got one on the floor here. Didn't realize I dropped it. That's caused from the shaking and rattling and rolling. I use two different kinds here because I can move them anywhere on the bench. The bench is 2x4 framed, and it's 1/2-inch plywood. One sheet built this whole thing with room to spare. And I am going to expand this and put the saws over on that wall over there. And when I get to that point, we'll do it. But anyway, basically what I got going on here is I'm going to add another tier on this. I'm going to set that one up over there so that I can actually use part of that for doing just saw work. I need something that I can move around and do this, and I'll show you how I'm going to modify that in a minute. But anyway, of course I have my dustpan. No good shop is good without that, and a broom and this and that. This is micro that I put on here to kick. And you'll notice a lot of times I'll have these sitting on the floor because they get hotter and crap. And these are pastry bags I use for doing micro and all my epoxying. I don't handle this stuff. I make a pastry bag. I'll show you how this is done. It's something I learned from watching Bob Moore, who is a good friend of mine, by the way. And we'll talk about some more developments. Up there's all my cockpit stuff. You guys know I build cockpits and things like that, and I kind of put things up there just so it's out of the way. And I do need to put another area so I can get it. I got other builds going on there. I got them stored up there for now, and that keeps it. I've got another airplane on a rack underneath that table there, just because I'm getting close on this P38, doing some other stuff to it, and doing a lot of micro work right now. And I'll discuss that later in the video and how I do it, and we'll talk about that. Now, this is a 9-inch bandsaw. This is a Craftsman, and I got this used, and I only gave like 50 bucks for it in a pawn shop. And right next to it was this beautiful Grizzly sander, which I just love this thing, and it is just amazing. And I use it for just about everything I do, and it's fully adjustable. I'll show you how this is used. I use it for this one. I was using it for a bunch of other stuff and whatever. It's just a great tool. It's one of my favorite tools for scratch building that I've got because, man, I can really fine tune a lot of stuff, and I use this thing all the time. You'll see me go up there and instead of little things, you'll see me come up here and actually, man, I will run this thing till it's just about dead. And I just love it. It's another $50 item you can pick up anywhere. Very well, that's some of the best money spent right there, is that sander and that saw. Of course, any drill will work. This one's getting a little ragged. I'm gonna have to get a new one. But it got me through, it's gotten me through some pretty good times here. So I use it and it works fine. Another thing I have over here is a Dremel. I got it on a flex shaft and I'll use it because I can put everything down here and clamp it. Going back over here, the clamps are Harbor Freight. These are like 75 cents a piece. And you can buy the ones in the bags to get the bigger ones, the smaller ones. These are only a couple bucks. They're nice to have. I'm gonna get more of them just because they are really nice to have. These are the ones you find in a bit for $1, and if you get glue on them, they get too bad, you throw them away and be done with them. But these are still working pretty good and they've served me well for years. The only thing is I don't like about these bigger clamps, these have a tendency to break. So if you can get the metal ones when you get the bigger ones, it's probably going to be a little better. Excuse me. Now, up here I carry some extra saws, and then these I make pastry bags up, and I use an awful lot of tape. Tape is going to be your best friend when it comes down to everything on these things, and I have all different kinds. I've got duct tape, I've got lots of this, I've got low tack, I've got really good, I got some really cheap, and I do that. Coffee cups a must-have, got to have that down here. Blades, you're going to go through a lot of these, and I use those for scraping and doing things, and then I use a lot of these for patterns. Blades, always using number 2s and other sizes, chisel tips and all kinds of stuff. I have every kind of blade you can think of. These I want to talk a little bit about because the X-Acto planes are okay, but I've noticed that this little Stanley, this thing has been amazing, and it works just incredible. I love it. And then I have a small little, I have a little spoke shaver that I use for fine tuning little things, and if you're doing wingtips and things like that, this works really extremely well. I have an angle cut part in here for doing this when I do planking, and you can set the depths on this thing, and it's really a nice little tool to have. And then the circle cutter. Now you can get these are usually used on a lot of different things, but this one has been just amazing. I love this thing, and it works. It's coming so handy on the little things, and they're good. And then once we come down below, I have all kinds of hardware and parts and pieces, engine parts for whatever things, and I got tons of this stuff in here. And I know where it's all at pretty much. I keep this, that, the other in there, MPX connections. I like to use those for a lot of different things. Now, I've got different sizes of screws and things like that, nylon bolts, all that stuff. I just kind of put everything in where it's going to be. Wheels, if you got other airplanes like I do, you're going to use a lot of this, a lot of taps, a lot of dies, a lot of locking washers, reamers, which are really good to have for props. And these are just hardwares and pieces and things like that. Stir sticks, this and that. These are all things, and I like to keep a lot of these things. These are long drill bits for certain things, and I keep them in here. And if I got one that comes like this, I'll keep these kind of like in these areas if I have hex heads on those. These are air parts, this and that, the other, and more bits and chisels. These are servo drawers and little things like this, extra glue tips on there, because if you're zapping like crazy, it's good to have those. These are hinge parts. That's actually parts to a cockpit that I'm building for the P-38. We'll talk more about that later. There's some cups down here for mixing, and I go through a lot of these. One of these things I'll tell you is that we're going to talk a little bit of this in another episode, but anyway, I have tons of this stuff, and I buy these, and these are solos, okay, clear solo cups, and I cut those off, but it's probably better if you get like the cocktail size ones. But you don't want to use anything but that because alcohol will eat them and epoxy attacks some of them. It's kind of weird, but it does do it. Paper cups work, but you can't see anything and getting them precise. And we'll talk more about what I did on here to keep these things actually done. I actually pre-mark these when I'm getting ready to do glass. I pre-mark these so that I can mix them up and get that before I get it. That way the ratio's right. And I'll show you that trick on that too. And I usually cut these down, which is why I kept this for that, and then we get them. But don't throw these in the trash until they're completely kicked off and cold. You know, I've never seen epoxy go and do a hot batch, but this stuff does get warm. Better safe than sorry. This becomes a catch-all, and these need to be soaked in some lacquer thinner to clean them up, and then they go right there. Anyway, this is other stuff that I have that's not airplane related, but most of this stuff in here, these are all just tools that I use on everything that I got. And this is a US General. I got it for like 200 bucks, I think. Again, I think this one is a little bit more, and if I was going to do shells, I'd go the bigger. This is where I keep engines and all this other stuff, and I try to keep it away from all that. Now I have one that is nothing but for lumber, and all that stuff stays over here, and I put it in here so that I can get it. I roll up plans, I put them in a box back there, and then you'll notice I have things just kind of random on the shop, and that's because I've not put them in drawers because I want more of those. There's every screw, nut, and bolt and everything you could possibly ever think of that I'll ever need in this shop for any of these airplanes that I'm building. I keep them, and I never, you know what? I'm going to show you guys this now, because these damn things here, 632s, to get 4 of them, they're like $1. Okay? Go to your hardware store, guys. Buy out their drawer. For $1, you can buy so much that it's just, you know, not even funny. And you can get them for whatever. And these things here, I buy these in Delbert screws. Go to Tacoma Screw or something like that, and whatever screw and hardware place you can get, you can buy it for $4. This is kind of dumb to buy this much of this. And what happened here is I got this in a closeout when the hobby shop went out of business at Tim's. I went down and bought a lot of their things, whether you need to, and I bought it in bulk. So I just happened to have a ton of it. And these were the things they had. I paid out pretty good amount for most of it, but I bought everything they had that was RC related and things I probably never used. But, you know, I've got tons of this stuff, and this line, you can buy this through DDM. You can order it, and you want to make sure that these parts are set up to go into this airplane. So everything that you're seeing on here goes. And then these, of course, will go somewhere else. They won't ever go in this airplane because we got actual Fowler flaps in that one. Now, it was a kit that was done by Bob Moore, and they work flawlessly. So we'll talk more about that in another episode. And we're going to come over to the detailing station. And it's just simply a table where I sit down, and this is where I do a lot of other stuff where I can sit and get it. And then I just went down and got an office chair. This is a deal. So the total cost to sit and build this whole entire shop for just the basic stuff with tools, just the main tools you're going to need, sanders, you can get those as you will, and sandpapers and things like that, you're just going to do whatever. But and that's a rolly building jig down there, and I built that, and that cost a couple of bucks. No big deal. You can build it with anything, but make it mobile, and that will work. But anyway, You're looking at about 500 bucks to set everything up for the basic stuff you need, and then you can add to whatever you do and don't need, and we'll talk more about that. And these are things that are good, and I'll show you my scrap bins and all that in another video. But other than that, we're gonna get busy and we're gonna start building some more airplane stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and share anything you want. And again, I'll be doing a lot of videos on here and here now, so that I don't get in trouble with Facebook, because they like to really scream at me for some reason. I don't care. Anyway, Facebook's Facebook. So anyway, like, subscribe, comment below. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask me, and I will answer any questions that you may have. And if you need to go one-on-one, we'll go live and we'll talk about that. But anyway, till then, thanks guys.